You were on the train home. Audible. There's more to imagine when you listen.
More baseball today at Baum-Walker Stadium. It is cool, it is windy, but sunshine. And Arkansas and ULM ready to play the regularly scheduled Game 2 after they just briefly concluded Game 1, which was suspended for a day ago, and the Hogs had another big win. Let's bring you up to the booth. I'm Brett Dolan with Logan Forsythe. Thanks so much for joining us. Logan wasn't here yesterday. He caught the last 4 minutes of Game 1. It didn't take long for Arkansas to kind of get that run rule and salted away.
It did not take long for Arkansas. Cahill came up and took care of business and sent the Hogs out with the first win, and now we're here for Game 2.
Yeah, walk-off grand slam from Cahill Aloy, but really Arkansas's power was kind of the story throughout that first game.
Yeah, Arkansas's power's been showing up. You know, the first game they came out and they showed what the bats could do. The one thing I liked about Arkansas's offense was there wasn't a whole lot of overswinging with how they approached the plate. It was just good turns, good swings, and making good connection with these strong guys that are getting out of the park.
Wind was blowing out. You saw Kozel. You also saw Helfrich. Brent Iredale got into one way up there near the grills and the picnic tables. Then Cahill Aloy. My goodness, I don't know how long this ball was in the air, how far it flew, but it was a monster.
Yeah, Cahill, he's locked in right now, and with this swing, everything that he kind of finishes out in front with is it's got some distance to it.
So Arkansas for the game, 14 runs on 15 hits. Hit well with runners in scoring position. Again, 4 home runs does not hurt. We saw Ben Bybee throw last week, Logan, against Grambling, and really kind of finished strong. So I'm curious to see what he might provide today.
Yeah, I think Bybee's last outing, the last couple innings finished really well for him, and you know that I think is finishing on a pitch count coming into a new game. I think this is going to build his confidence, and I think he's looking to build on this game.
So the Warhawks come in at 5-6. This has been a road trip through Springfield and Fayetteville. Blazer, Lunsford, Walker, the top 3. Artsberger, Haggard, and Garcia. Then Billings, DuPont, and White round out the starting 9. For head coach Michael Federico, Bryce Blazer was batting cleanup in Game 1, went 0 for 3. Off to a good start this season with 15 hits, and my goodness, does he provide a tight strike zone, and we are off and rolling. Plate umpire Greg Hendricks here in Game 2. They turned this thing around in less than 30 minutes. We resumed at 2 o'clock to face 3 batters and get a run rule. Right back at it. Bybee gets the wave of the miss, and it really is tough on these starting pitchers after Game 1, not knowing exactly when Game 2 is going to start.
Yeah, you're hoping that the umpires and the head coaches can get that figured out so you can give your starters enough time to prep that routine, get going, and come in the game 100%.
Wave of the miss.
Another good changeup.
When we saw Bybee against Grambling give up a run in the second inning, finished strong in the third, retired the last 4 batters he faced and got 5 outs in that stretch. Just about hit Blazer.
Blazer's all over that plate, isn't he?
Trying to think of a comp, somebody that we've seen maybe at a higher level that it really gets into the crouch like this, and with 2 strikes it gets even tighter. Got a pitch to hit and drills one to right, traveling to Diggs, and he will make the catch. And our first example on how the ball's going to fly today, Logan, these outfielders, even the infielders on pop-ups, they are going to be in for quite a bit of work.
They're going to be. And you know what? I didn't see a ton of guys out here early kind of reading the balls off the bat to see what it'd do in that wind. So it might be a little bit more interesting than we lead on.
So Bybee gets the line out to begin things. This is Lunsford, the shortstop. He led off in Game 1, had a couple of base hits, 2 of the 6 hits for the Warhawks. Former Sac State product who played with Vahiva Aloy. So both shortstops in this game were Hornets at Sac State. Another ball in the air and a play for Thomas Jr. Lost his hat, but the sunglasses are on, the ski mask is on, and there's 2 outs. And even Vahiva, I like to kid him about the weather because he will be honest with you. I mean, it's terrible as far as he's concerned. He came down the tunnel, which was indoors. That ski mask and those sunglasses were already on. It was 80 degrees in that tunnel. He was loaded for bear. from the moment he left the clubhouse today.
He did not want to feel that cold.
He didn't even want to sample it. And this is Isaiah Walker. Bender from Bybee misses downstairs. Walker, the UTSA transfer, singled in 3 at-bats, and there's a ground ball to Aloy. He can move in the colder conditions, makes that play, retires Walker, and Bybee has a perfect first. We go to the bottom of the frame, and the Razorbacks coming into bat.
New projects means new project managers. You need to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/hire.
You know what's brilliant? Boring. Think about it.
Boring makes vacations happen.
Early retirement's possible.
And startups start up.
That's why PNC Bank strives to be boring with your money. The pragmatic, calculated kind of boring.
You mastered your mind. And all the while, you were on the train home. Audible. There's more to imagine when you listen.
Razorbacks come to bat in the bottom of the first inning. Holden Hess, the tall right-handed sophomore. Logan will get the start for the Warhawks.
Hess is featuring a fastball slider changeup. Looks like he's kind of 3/4 slot from his release point. Taller guy. I mean, looks like he's probably going to sink it a little bit into righties, play with that slider off, and probably rely on that changeup a lot to the lefties.
Handful of innings pitched this year. Take a look at the lineup Arkansas will throw out there. Similar but different. Davalon in left, Aloy back at short. Iredale will be at third base. You can't keep Kahio Aloy out of the lineup. Then Diggs moves up to the 5-hole. Pepe at first base. Souza jumps up to the 7th. Zane Becker, the catcher, gets the start. Justin Thomas Jr. in center. And Arkansas had the 4 home runs. But Logan, it's fun to see a guy like Zane Becker get his chance to start behind the plate.
Absolutely. You see new guys in there, you're always excited to see what they can do and how they show up to a game. And from what we've kind of heard from Becker is, you know, he's mature for his age, and being behind there at the plate, I think, is an asset for these Razorbacks.
Every game means something to somebody. And for those that haven't played a lot, it's a lot of fun to get out there.
100%.
This is Davalon. Interesting game between yesterday and today. He scored 3 runs, but he was officially 0 for 3. Batting average at an even .250. Hess works out of the stretch with no one on base and rolls in strike 1 at 83.
Davalon looks like he's standing up a little bit more.
Is that leg raise maybe a little less than we saw maybe a couple of weeks ago?
It looks like it.
Well, it's a lot less. Smokes one off Hess. It rolls away. Hess is going to pick it up, and his flip ends up down the right field line. So Davalon, after getting the hit off the pitcher, literally will coast into second base. Yesterday, to start the game, Colin Fisher was hit by the first batter of the game, but that one got a little more of Holden Hess, and we'll see if he's okay. He chased that ball down as if he was angry after this one smoked him on the ankle.
Looked like a shin burner.
I got him a few inches above the top of the shoes, so you're trying to fire it up. You take a line drive on a cold day off your ankle or lower leg. Then you get a throwing error as well after you flipped it wide, and that's not a lot of fun.
Tough first batter right there. Seems to be doing okay, though. Couple pitches here. See how that land foot feels.
Well, the feels like temperature is 39 degrees, so even though you might be seeing the sunshine if you're watching from someplace outside of the region, and he's not wearing any sleeves, of course, as a pitcher, it's not a fun day weather-wise. Let's see this one again. I think it got him up around the cut of the bottom of the pants and the socks. Ooh.
Yeah. Maybe his tweeners help break that ball up a little bit on his shin. Maybe it didn't hurt as much. A couple extra layers down there.
I hope for his sake you're right. Fahim Aloy up to a .369 batting average with 3 home runs, and yet his numbers pale in comparison to his brother, who needs to be called up to a higher league or a bigger level of some sort.
That sibling right now.
You brought that up a week ago, and I think it's just continued to live up to the billing. Fahiva shoots one out to left. Playing deep was Blazer. He was almost on the warning track, so that allows Davalon to tag in advance. But with the wind howling out, the outfielders are playing even deeper than maybe normal. And that ball was hit extremely hard at 108, but it's an out.
Good read by Davalon right there. I mean, he didn't really hesitate at second base. He saw where that left fielder was playing, and he went back to tag up immediately.
Iredell had a long home run in game 1. Even as we played his highlight back in our open, he leaned back into that ball. He got it. He knew it from the minute it left his bat.
Yeah. Iredell's been fun to watch. He's got a very consistent approach at the plate. And what I've seen in good hitters is that repeatable swing. And that's something that he's done since he's been starting with Arkansas this year. It's been a very repeatable, consistent swing.
He's just somebody I think we're going to enjoy following this year and beyond, because still the games he's played in his career probably pales in comparison to so many others that have played at the high school level, the travel ball, the youth baseball level. As he takes ball 4, we did learn today he played in the Little League World Series representing Australia when he was 12 years old. It was his first trip to the U.S., so we're going to find some video by this weekend.
I'd like to see that.
See young Brent Iredale hitting bombs and doing some damage.
I bet he was.
All business stops when Kahia Aloy steps in. He got a couple of soft hits and a couple of soft RBIs in the first game before he had a grand slam, a country mile to end the game. And a chopper's wide of first. So his numbers on the season, he's 18 for 32. 5 homers and 22 runs batted in.
Couldn't ask much for a better start than that.
I'm not sure how you could have a better start. How about the OPS over 1,800?
I checked that out this morning before I left. I added it up. I was like, I'm curious what his OPS is right now.
So it felt like he had maybe just a little bit of an off game, but he got 6 RBIs and a grand slam and 3 hits. Bats with Razorbacks on the corners. And takes one down and in. How do you want to pitch Kahio now? Do you want to just completely miss the zone? Is there a certain target you're shooting for to see if he would get himself out?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you face a hitter that's locked in like this, you have to, wherever your misses are, you want to make sure it's not his strengths. And if it's where his strengths are, then you would probably do your best to stay away from him, see if you can get him to chase one of your off-speed pitches, or see if you can get him to climb the ladder a little bit too much in the zone and get him up in the air. Not so much over the fence, but maybe to where they can catch it.
And a wild pitch provides an early run for the Razorbacks. DVH used the term threat when describing Kahia Aloy, and I think that might almost be an understatement. 2-1, fades low. 3 balls and a strike. Said I have to keep writing his name in the lineup, and Coach Van Horn often says the players determine the lineup. He just writes it on a card or a lineup. That's down and out, ball 4. What it means, though, is Arkansas hasn't had quite the rotation in that DH spot or outfitters spot either. But, you know, it's a good problem to have. There are a couple of guys probably losing at bats because Kahia Aloy is hot as anybody in the country.
That's true. And, you know, it's fascinating because me as a player, you know, DHing was nice to kind of have a break from playing the field to get your legs back under you. But for him, he's thriving in this position right now. And most players would rather be playing the field to feel like they had to put up these kind of numbers. So I think DVH has been around long enough to see that when someone's going hot, you kind of ride them out, stay with them. But I'm interested to see Cahillo in the outfield and see how he plays.
I'm intrigued as well, just because that bat is going to continue to force its way in the lineup. Today's probably not that day with the winds. Pitch to Diggs. Shot on a short hop to third. Haggard will pick it up with the glove and step on the base to force Iredale for the second out of the inning. So there's 2 gone for Rocco Pepe. Now, Rocco did not play in game 1. He's sitting at 199 career hits, is Pepe. Tell you what, 200 is a big one if he can get to that plateau. Two on, 2 out, and the front door breaking ball to Pepe in there for strike 1. Arkansas scored a run on a wild pitch, and that one runs a little bit up and out from Hess. At second base is Cahillo Aloy. Kendall Diggs aboard at first. He's not getting a lot of snap run in that breaking ball right now.
No, it's kind of backing up on him a little bit, kind of staying up in the zone.
Long pause before the 2-1 pitch. It's off the corner. Now the count 3-1.
Pepe seems like he's seen the ball pretty well right now. He gets one in the zone pitches, right here. He might get that 200th hit.
Hitters count for Pepe. And a throw back to second. These teams hit just across the street in the indoor both yesterday and today. And Arkansas has this feature where they got a monitor up outside the cage. You can take your full round of swings, your 5 or 6 swings. You can step out, and it's timed where you can then watch your 5 swings back on the monitor next to the cage. And the 3-1 misses, and that's ball 4. And Rocco was doing it yesterday, and he looked at me and he said, "This is all new to me." I said, "You didn't have that at Fresno State?" He said, "We didn't have anything like that at Fresno State." But the guys would take their 5 or 6 swings, they'd step out, they'd watch them over again, about 3 minutes delayed on the monitor. And I hadn't seen that before. So the technology just kind of reproduces itself at some point.
Yeah, it's night and day. It's night and day. I mean, to have that instant feedback from around just to, like, make those quick adjustments instead of searching for it, it's got to be huge for these guys.
Especially if you're looking for just one thing. As Nolan Souza takes a big swing and a miss. I think everybody's watching right now in Souza whether he can build on game 1, which was a single and a double. Single at 111. The double was to left center. The hit on Sunday was his first hit since opening day. Really felt like he was having a hard time seeing change-ups early. He's had a couple of at-bats since, Logan, where maybe he's kind of taken the change-up or the breaking ball, and I hope that means that he's just overall seeing it better.
Yeah, you know, he's always been a threat in the box. He's a big kid, strong kid. But, you know, that double to left center yesterday that he hit really looked more like the Souza we kind of saw last year when he was going. It wasn't trying to do too much to the pull side. It was trying to stay inside the baseball and let his strength do the rest.
Bases full of Razorbacks and a run home this inning. But just one hit, one single. That was Davilon's base hit off Hess's ankle. The 1-2. Souza dumps one out to right, and this ball will be caught by Garcia Jr. I thought he got a bit of a late break, but he's able to make the catch in the inning ends, so the Razorbacks leave them loaded. 1-0 Hogs after 1. Michael Federico in his 8th season as the head coach at ULM with the Warhawks. Came from Southern Miss. Fantastic mid-major baseball program trying to build the Warhawks. And listen, this is a tough conference, as we talked about yesterday, kind of the SEC of the mid-majors, and we documented all the teams that they have put in regionals for the last couple of years. And I think what D1 baseball has described for Federico is that he's got an older team. He's got a chance to make some headway this year. Hoping to find out maybe a little bit more about his team here in the midweek. as Michel Artsberger leads off the inning. Artsberger singled and scored the lone run in the 7th inning. And I guess you could say from yesterday or today, it became official today, but started that game yesterday in much better weather conditions. But for the most part, I guess we've lucked out. The winds have cooled things off, but it isn't completely unbearable. The O2, I can say that because I'm upstairs and I've got a space heater.
We got a little heater down below.
We do. Artsberger, though, one of the veterans on this team. And Bybee's pitch cut on and missed. 4 in a row set down by Bybee. That's his first K.
Breaking ball's landing a little bit better today, it seems like, for Bybee.
Boy, he starts that high, too, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Jake Haggard, the third baseman, next man in. 3-year starter. Between Artsberger and Haggard, you get an idea of the age of this team, and there's a wave and a miss. D1 Baseball in their Sun Belt preview just in the first line said making headway in the rugged Sun Belt is a tough chore, but UL Monroe has the personnel to take a sizable step forward if the stars align. Last year 11-19 in league play. And this is an older conference in the SEC, but I think every league might just feel a little bit older right now.
Yeah. I mean, ULM, I mean, they had 25 wins. I think that was the most they've had since 21. So that coupled with, you know, the success they had at the end of last year with the veteran guys they have on the team now, you know, that's a couple good ingredients right there to have a successful season.
For a lot of the teams you were on, did you have a feel how good you were going to be early, or did sometimes it take a while to kind of get an idea?
The higher up I played, the better that feel was. You kind of paid a little bit more attention to your teammates and kind of knew where they were as far as how their body was feeling and, you know, who we might start the season with, who might we not. And, you know, pitching was always the question. Once you kind of had that figured out, you kind of had a pretty good idea of going into a series what that matchup would look like.
I think it makes sense because you just have a bigger track record of history and success at the big league level.
Yep.
1-2 to Haggard. Went 0 for 3 in our first game, and Bybee yanks one down and out at 91.
I do remember at the college level, though, I do remember, you know, what could be. We have the talent. You know, compared to the other teams, it's like we're not really lacking in anywhere or any space, but it's just a matter of who kind of wanted to show up more.
Soft dribbler to third. Iredale gets a nice bounce from the infield grass. He throws out Haggard for the second out. Of course, Dave Van Horn, he has been in that Arkansas dugout now for 23 seasons. He's closing in on 900 wins. And wow. I guess I've been here so long, Logan, that, you know, you get to 700, you get to 800, and it's amazing how fast it goes between those big round numbers.
It really is. And I think, you know, last week we were talking about, I mean, this being DVH's 23rd season. It doesn't seem like it's been 23 years.
Yeah, it's amazing how time can fly as Henry Garcia Jr., the right fielder, steps in.
But what an accomplishment, man. 900 wins.
You know, it's a big-time number. And it's something I think that kind of came into the conversation not that long ago. Because you start to think about some of the active leaders in wins around college baseball. And that list, when you get that high up, becomes somewhat small. There's a check swing foul ball into the net down the right field side.
I got a feeling that Corbin at Vanderbilt would be up there.
Now here's what's funny. He counts his wins at Central Missouri. Good pitch for a strike over the outside corner. He's fourth among active coaches in wins because John Anderson of Minnesota retired. Keith Gutton, a longtime coach at Missouri State, shut it down. Gary Gilmore at Coastal Carolina. But Paul Maneri came back at South Carolina. He was the active leader with 1,500. So it's Maneri, Danny Hall at Georgia Tech, who's been there forever, Elliott Avent at North Carolina State, and DVH. Mm-hmm. You're starting to get up to that category where you're pretty close to being the top guy.
At the top. And those are a lot of guys that have been around for a long time and had a lot of success. That's good company.
Great
DVH.
company. 3-2 pitch is a little bit down, a little bit out. So the first base runner for the Warhawks is a 2-out walk to Henry Garcia in the second inning.
Pretty good job by Decker right there trying to get that ball to stay in the zone or give it a better look for the umpire.
That's another aspect I think we touched on, but probably worth mentioning again because it's just a little different experience level for Becker. He's had 6 at-bats, so he's been behind the plate, but working with Bybee, and I would imagine we could see him time to time, either maybe a one-starter weekend or certainly midweek. But for him, it's still a matter of getting real game experience with these pitchers.
Yeah, I think getting that familiarity that you need as a pitcher-catcher and, you know, knowing where their misses are going to be.
See how he
Nice
throws.
throw.
How about that? I thought it was on line, but maybe a tad late as Garcia Jr. gets the stolen base. Pretty good jump by Garcia, his 3rd of the year. Did Sousa go too far in front of that base?
Yeah, he did. He went a little bit too much, man.
That one's clubbed to left. Billings sends one to the bullpen, and it's gone into the seats. First hit of the year for Jacob Billings is a 2-run homer, and the Warhawks take their first lead of this 2-game set. So a 2-out walk, a stolen base. Arkansas didn't get that out at second, and then Billings made the Hawks pay, and that's a happy group of Warhawks.
They had fun with that celebration.
What was that pitch at 83?
I think it was his slider.
It didn't slide?
It didn't slide very much. Because his breaking ball has a lot more depth than that.
Sure does. Like that.
Yes, and that one's lower at 78, yep.
Kay DuPont, a Louisiana kid. It's amazing sometimes. It doesn't matter the team. It doesn't matter the level. Oftentimes when a ball's hit hard, sometimes it's a hitter making a pitcher pay because Gibbler on the double by Aranda that kept the game alive yesterday, he left that thing center cut. And that's when you get a good swing from the opposition.
Yeah, and I think it's very similar to like the speeds that certain conferences are used to, and ULM might not be used to the 95 like the Hogs are going to see in the SEC a lot of, but when Arkansas's pitchers come in and they're throwing that mid-80s, it's kind of speeding that bat up for them, which in turn can lead to those home runs.
Billings the 2-run homer, and the Warhawks have a lead.
New projects means new project managers. You need to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/hire.
You know what's brilliant? Boring. Think about it.
Boring makes vacations happen.
Early retirement's possible.
And startups start up.
That's why PNC Bank strives to be boring with your money. The pragmatic, calculated kind of boring.
Jersey Mike's freshly slices it right in front of you. You can't fake that. You can fake my outfit. You can fake these haunches. You just can't fake a freshly sliced Jersey sub. Made the authentic Jersey way since 1956. It's a Jersey Mike's thing.
It's a jacket day for those dancing on top of the dugout. I don't blame them in the least. But after Arkansas completed the run rule victory with a grand slam from Malloy in the bottom of the 7th at 2 o'clock for a 14-1 win, Hogs got a run in the first. They left the bases loaded against Holden Hess. And then Billings had the 2-run homer for the Warhawks. So now Hess working with the lead. Appeared in 6 games a year ago, 6 2/3 innings. The New Orleans native, redshirted back in 2023. Going to face the freshman Zane Becker, true freshman Zane Becker. He's had 6 at-bats. He's made the most of those with 3 hits, including a pair of doubles. He started for Flower Mound. That's a big school in the Dallas area as a freshman, committed almost 4 years ago. Pokes one out in the right, dropping fast, a base hit. So Becker is 4 for 7 to begin his college career. Takes a little pressure off, doesn't it, when you can get off to a good start even when you're not playing on a regular basis?
Yes, and it's extremely difficult for anybody that doesn't or hasn't experienced that. It is not easy to be inconsistent in playing time and come out and still have some success like that. But I love that out of Becker right there. I mean, leading off the inning, getting something out over the plate and not trying to do too much, and Razorbacks leading off with a runner on.
He draws a throw and he says, hey, I'm a catcher. Quit throwing over here. As Justin Thomas Jr. bats. DBH, I think, has toyed with the idea of having Thomas Jr. lead off because he's walked 9 times as he takes a strike. Primarily played center field a year ago and has been used in some different spots. We saw him in left the opening weekend, playing center today. Boy, they're worried about Zane Becker.
They are. I think Thomas. I think that would be. I think that would be very doable. He seems like he's.
Do they think he's?
He must be mad at him for getting a hit. I don't know what's going on.
Arkansas, as a team, has stolen 7 bases. I don't think Becker's going. I could be wrong. At this point, maybe he may be encouraged to run. The count 0-2 to Thomas. In fact, we talked about this Razorback team running a little more this year, and maybe it's a bit of a sore subject, but in the SEC standings, they only have room for 15 teams in the categories in batting average and hits. That was smoked to third, caught by Haggard, back to first. How about the pick by Artsberger to get a line-out double play? 100 off the bat, but right to Haggard, and an even better pick at first.
Tough at bat right there. Did everything you could, ball on the barrel. I don't even think Becker got a step past his secondary before he was trying to come back.
Great pick. 2 outs, and Davalon will bat. Infield single on the first, scored a run. That's it for the Razorbacks as far as the run total. Just to finish my thought, though, they have room for 15 teams in all the categories, batting average, home runs, and I'm looking at stolen bases, and I don't see Arkansas, and then I realize, well, there's 16. That's why they don't even show up in the SEC standings in stolen bases, and they've had some caught stealings, and there's been a multitude of explanations, but maybe they have not run the way that I think some would have hoped. But again, I think the closer you get to conference play, the harder it's going to be to run.
I think so. I mean, what I've seen from this Razorback team so far is that, there hasn't the times that they have ran is, to test it to see how, the guys look. But at the same time, I feel like the lineup has had some really good situational hitting to where they haven't had to steal.
It's a good point. You're right. And they've had 5 straight games of double-digit hits, and I think we've seen that as Davalon will walk, and maybe he'll run here. I think the other thing is, Logan, sometimes you're like, well, this time he slide-stepped, and this time he was fast to the plate. That all goes into it. And if you keep getting thrown out, there isn't an appetite to lose multiple runners in some games. So if you get thrown out early, you really have a risk-reward allocation as a head coach. Do I keep going? Do I keep running? Or do I wait for more hits?
You can actually prep for that before game. I mean, you can take, with all the analytics out there right now, you can take a catcher's pop time and the average time with a leg raise from a pitcher or his slide step, combine the two, and see what your numbers are on a good stolen base from second base. If you have 2 to 3 guys that are well underneath that combo, then take your chance. The other guys, it's like, maybe we wait.
When you see a pitcher like Hess throwing to first a lot, does that indicate to you that maybe he's a little bit slow to the plate and he wants to do everything he can to keep runners close?
Yes. I think if what I've typically seen in some of the younger pitchers like that is that they're very comfortable staying with their leg lift to feel confident in throwing the strike or hitting that part of the zone that they're going for. And when you try to get them to incorporate that slide step, it kind of throws those mechanics out of whack a little bit for them. Because I haven't seen them slide step yet.
Snap toss down to first. And Davalon back in diving.
But I did want to touch on with Thomas. Like, I think that would be something fun for DVH to try to explore with that matchup, like lefty-righty matchup. Like Thomas could go against lefty starters and Davalon could come against righty starters and see if that mix-up in the lineup is too messy or it might actually work. We'll say, well.
Fahiva Loy rips one out into right center field. This ball's down. Now we'll get to see the speed of Davalon. He's sprinting around third, being waved to the plate. He is going to score without a throw. Fahiva Loy has the RBI double to tie this game up at 2. He had an absolute rocket to the warning track back in the first and didn't get rewarded, but he used the big part of the yard in right center to chase home Davalon.
Right fielder was in more too on that. With a guy that hits the ball over 100, I'd probably be.
I would agree. Look how shallow he is out and right.
Yeah. I don't think it would have mattered, but.
Iredale walked back in the first. Homered in game 1. His home run yesterday that occurred in the 4th inning went 428 feet. That one's up and off the glove of White to the backstop, and Fahiva Loy will advance to third base. In Iredale, we've seen him batting at the top of the lineup for this Arkansas team. In fact, the opening weekend, we saw him back cleanup, batting third. And Logan, did he ever lean into this one?
That's
I love
called
that side swing.
Yeah, that's called hitting into your front side right there. To where you have that recoil where it's like that contact is exactly where it needs to be.
That must feel great.
It does. I mean, that's a swing when you make contact and that force puts you back into your back leg like that, and what you call the lean back on it. It's a great feeling.
I think the recoil, the term you used, was fun too, because you could see it. It's almost like every ounce of strength he could muster into that baseball is delivered.
And as soon as he transfers it into that baseball, all that strength goes right back into that back foot. But that's one thing about Iredale that I've picked up on. You know, even his, I think he's a selfless hitter I've seen so far. He has recognized situations and he has letting fastballs beat him, but he has enough confidence in his swing to where his hands can stay above the ball, and knowing that they beat him, he'll take he's tried to just move runners over and gotten rewarded with doubles down the right field line.
All right, I got a follow-up to that then after this pitch to Iredale. If he doesn't put it in play, how impressed are you with that then, because he just hasn't played anywhere near the volume of games that other guys have at the high school level or youth baseball level?
Very impressed, because you typically see kids coming into a program, especially in the SEC or a major college, you know, D1 competition, and I mean, that anxiety gets going. You know, it's like, oh gosh, that pressure. He seems cool as a cucumber.
Big wave and a miss. You might think that a guy who hasn't played that volume of games, that there would be still kind of a learning curve, or maybe there'd be situations or aspects of the pitcher-batter confrontation that maybe he'd be playing catch-up on. I think that's encouraging, and that's outside. The thing to me, too, is that the kid can run well. He's kind of learning a position in a sense. At one time he was a shortstop in JUCO, but that was probably not going to be his forever home. But he's now walked 13 times, so he's willing to take his walks.
Yeah, he has a plan, you can tell, and he sticks with it. You know, the games that we've seen him play, and even when it comes to his swing, it's never overswinging. His singles to right field could also look like his single or his homers that he hits 425 feet to left.
Kahio Aloy takes another big swing after he walked in the first, had a 6 RBI game, the walk-off grand slam in the 7th when we resumed at 2 o'clock today. From the moment he stepped on campus, DVH said about the metrics, he hit the ball as hard as anybody on the team. Hard hit to third. It's going to chew up Haggard and propel into left. Home to score is Fahiva. I would imagine that'll be a base hit and an RBI at 102 off the bat. And when you put the ball in play, they say good things happen. When you put the ball in play with triple-digit exit velocities, really good things will happen. And that is a base hit. the question after DVH threw that out there, Logan, was, well, where are you going to play him? And will he play against left-handed pitching? And can he find a position? Can he hit consistently enough? He's done nothing but hit.
Yep. I think at this point it's not a question. It's just let him ride it out.
Kendall Diggs.
Keep putting him in there. Keep letting him do his thing. And Cahillo, the more I watch him swing, I thought it is a violent, strong swing. But the more I see it, it's like his violence happens through contact, which is where you want it. And when you really watch his swing, if he stays balanced through the middle of the field, the way that his barrel finishes out in front of him and kind of slaps his back, you can tell his transfer energy is going through that ball so well. It's so whippy.
We were having a bit of this conversation last week, and I heard a phrase since that I want to run by you as Diggs takes one up and out. I felt like I heard it in a Major League broadcast during spring training, and it applied to what you were talking about. The swing, short to it, long through it.
Yeah. Short to it, long through it. Short to it is you're trying to stay close to your body with your swing, which allows you to stay inside the baseball. And the more you can stay inside the baseball, the more that barrel lags behind you. So if your timing in rhythm or right, then by the time that barrel comes along, that's where that velocity off the bat comes in. Yes.
I think one man who would like to kind of get a little bit of that mojo working right now is Kendall Diggs. He had a soft one hopper to third that Haggard got for a out at the base and a fielder's choice. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Diggs. Hits one in the air to right center field. Garcia Jr. turning and running. This ball will be caught by Walker. He kind of stabbed at it. That wind may have moved that ball just a bit. And the inning ends. Arkansas gets a couple of runs to regain the lead. 3-2 Hogs as we go to the third. These two teams last met in 2018. It was a wild game. Arkansas had to score 2 runs in the bottom of the 10th without a ball leaving the infield to take down the Warhawks. Coach Federico had great recall. He was telling me all about it. Casey Martin scored the winning run. Felt like they could have won that game. It's amazing, though, how many players for Arkansas went on to play pro ball. In fact, there were 2 first-round picks. Jackson Rutledge was the starting pitcher. Heston Kerstead, who went 1-2, was also in that game. 4 players have already played in the Major League game. 13 of 16 players to play in the professional ranks were taken in the draft. 16 players who played for Arkansas in that game went on to play pro ball as Zach White bats. And we're talking about Rutledge and Martin and Fletcher, Kerstad, Losky, Reindl. I mean, it was just amazing to go back and look at that game that I think ULM feels like they probably should have won, but Arkansas was absolutely loaded. Evan Lee was another.
Loaded, yes. I mean, that many guys getting drafted that were playing in that game, that's incredible.
Ramage, Bonfield, Gates, a handful of other guys who, played some pro ball. 2-strike pitch, cut it a miss. Bybee will get Zach White, the catcher, to go down on strikes to begin the third inning. But when I looked at that box score, Coach Federico said, you know how that game ended, right? I mean, there was a review at second base with a neighborhood play, and his second baseman wasn't standing on the base. It took away an out. 2 balls didn't leave the infield as we see White K to begin the inning, and yet Arkansas came back to get the win. When you're a mid-major head coach and you come to a venue like this and you feel like you had a game that you could have won and you didn't, you don't forget it.
Yeah, no, you do not forget it. When you got a chance to knock off a top-tier team, especially ranked nationally, that one, it stings when you can't close the door on them.
Blazer with a dribbler and Bybee over to cover in time for a quick out. Now 2 gone in the third inning. What was just unusual about that game, though, is all the pitchers that Arkansas threw for a midweek game, including Rutledge, the starter, played pro ball. And to have 16 in a game, though, that played pro ball, I got a feeling you could go back that year and look at some of the SEC games and not have anywhere near that type of list.
That's exactly where my mind went. I was like, what other games were there 16 guys that got drafted on the same field?
Lunsford flew out to center and is only at bat here in game 2. 13 hits on the season. Got a pitch to hit and drills one in the gap to left center. Davalon over to cut it off. He'll play it back in, and Lunsford at 106 off his bat has a 2-out single. Californian, plays hard, big part of this Warhawks team this season. And it was a 2-out base runner just an inning ago, and then Billings had a 2-run homer to put the Warhawks on the board. This is Isaiah Walker, who transferred from UTSA. Pitch over the plate, but down in the zone. Walker battled some injuries at UTSA. Speed, dynamic, some of the words his coach used to describe him. The throw from Becker is a little bit late. Lunsford stayed on the base, and that's the second time that the Warhawks have run with 2 outs in an inning to swipe it back. Let's watch the slide at the end from Lunsford.
He tripped up a little bit, too.
Boy, that was fantastic.
Great avoiding the tag right there. Good slide.
Kind of hovered just a bit. Two and one the count to Walker. Big swing and a soft chopper foul. Walker's from the Houston area. Manville High School. That high school's cranked out one Division I football player after another in the last decade or so. He chose the baseball route. Sends one to right field. That's down for a base hit. Lunsford's going to turn third. Diggs comes up with the baseball. His throw home is not in time. And another 2-out RBI by the Warhawks, and they've tied this game up again. We're even at 3 apiece.
Nice piece of hitting right there by ULM. Not trying to do too much. 2 strikes, letting the ball, seeing the ball really well, and doing what you can with it. Great piece of hitting. I think Diggs fumbled that ball a little bit out and right. I don't think he quite got the grip on it. Nope.
You're right, little bobble. He was so deep that throw was probably not going to have a chance anyhow with 2 outs, but this is Artsberger.
Curious on his depth, too, with 2 strikes and a righty up. A little deep for right field.
I think the one thing for these 2 games with the wind and the conditions, I've been curious by outfielders have either been playing really deep or maybe a little bit too shallow. Right now, Diggs is almost back on the warning track, as is Thomas Jr. in center and Davalon in left.
I've noticed the little fanny packs that ULM have right on the front of their belts. I feel like that would drive you crazy.
Another stolen base try, and the Warhawks pick up their 2nd of the inning and their 3rd of the game from Isaiah Walker. I think it might have their watch device on it for the signs and whatnot. I was wondering if maybe there were some snacks or some hand warmers in there, but
yeah, they got a little zipper pocket.
You never know when you might need a pick-me-up. Pitch to Artsberger. High again, 2-0. Artsberger last year hit .323, 8 homers, 43 knocked in. Trying to get back to some type of groove in 2025, but before that'll happen, Matt Hobbs out for a conversation. Is he talking about pitching right now, or is it more focused on holding these runners and what's going on behind him?
You know, I think at this point, I think Bibby's been kind of cruising pretty well. I think this is, stick to what the plan is. Don't try to get, with a hit coming in or, 2 outs and guys still in base. It's like, well, stop worrying about the runners and let's keep attacking the zone. Like, he's been doing a pretty good job of executing today, and I think Hobbs is just kind of reminding him of that. Like, let's stay with executing our pitches and let the rest take care of itself.
2-0, and that pitch is a strike over the inside corner at 92. Artsberger had a couple of years at Cowley College in Arkansas City, Kansas. Had some big years there to get to ULM. Shanks that one away to the left. Born in Venezuela, went to high school in Oklahoma, went to JUCO in Kansas, and playing his D1 college baseball in Louisiana. His name is spelled Michelle. It's pronounced Michelle. And Bybee tries to run one over the inside corner, just did miss. It was in, and the count 2-2 are now 3-2. Another 2-out run by the Warhawks, and that one fouled away. Last inning, Bybee got the first 2 hitters, then it was a walk and a 2-run homer. Got the first 2 hitters in the third, a single, a stolen base, a single, an RBI, and another stolen base. So he's a little bit below 50 pitches. I'm not sure if 3-4 innings might be it today or not. Arkansas has had a handful of pitchers they've probably wanted to get in this midweek, and they only had 7 innings to do so in game 1 as Artsberger fouls another one back.
Four really good pitches after that Hobbs visit, too.
Seems to be throwing it where he wants. Even that one was a good down and in pitch. Big bouncer to Pepe. Bybee covering, takes the flip, and the inning ends. Warhawks going to run with 2 outs to tie things up, even at 3, going to the bottom of the 3rd.
You know what's brilliant? Boring. Think about it.
Boring makes vacations happen.
Early retirement's possible.
And startups start up.
That's why PNC Bank strives to be boring with your money. The pragmatic, calculated kind of boring.
Wow, I just posted my job, and ZipRecruiter is on it. It finds active, qualified candidates with the exact skills I'm looking for. I can't believe how I used to do it before. Carl, none of these candidates are qualified. Wrong skills, wrong experience. I don't know where to put this person. This guy was a cat influencer. Now, I'm getting people who are the best fit for my roles.
ZipRecruiter, rated the #1 hiring site. Try it free at ziprecruiter.com/TV.
Choose joy. Choose your calling. Choose to really care. Choose to go for it. Just choose. We craft cars for those who choose to do more than simply move.
I wake up.
21st all-time meeting between the Warhawks and the Razorbacks. A lot of those have been decided by 3 runs or less. Game 1 was not one of those. Arkansas had the 14-1 win in 7 innings, but this game was tied at 3 as we go to the bottom of the 3rd inning. Arkansas, what they have continued to do is win these midweek games. 14-0 in their last 14 midweek games. They didn't lose one last year, and if you're a team like ULM, you'd love to be the first in a while. And they're going to go to the bullpen, bring on a new pitcher as well, Joey Sorelli out of California and the College of San Mateo. 13 innings of work, 7.62 earned run average. Made 3 starts, though, and that's why that innings number is a little bit higher than most we see coming out of the bullpen early in the year. Rocco Pepe's going to lead things off. Walk back in the 1st. Sorelli earned a win first weekend start through 5 innings against South Alabama. And Pepe takes a strike over the outside corner. Tough luck loss against Old Dominion a year ago. Also had some saves, so he's been used in different roles. Arkansas got a run in the 1st, 2 in the 2nd. Warhawks got 2 in the 2nd and 1 in the 3rd.
Yeah, Sorelli's kind of a similar pitcher to how Hess started out, in fastball, slider, changeup. I think Sorelli has a little bit more velo, maybe a little bit more run to the arm side.
Sunny but cool and windy day here at Baum Walker. You see the accoutrements there on Rocco Pepe. We were speculating about the hat the Warhawks wore yesterday, and I tell you what, all I had to do was speculate, and I'm getting tweets and I'm getting Instagram messages and everything, but it was on the World War II plane, the P-40 Warhawk. See that logo? I think that's a great-looking hat. Pepe shoots one foul down the line and left.
That is a cool hat.
Same logo again that was on that World War II plane. The P-40 Warhawk. The 3-2 to Pepe. Fouls one away.
Good battle right here by Pepe.
He's spraying balls in every direction around Baumwalker in the parking lots. Here comes the payoff from Sorelli. Little tapper in front of the plate. Sorelli will get it with a bare hand. Then there's a bobble, and his throw's late.
Looks like that ball had a little English on it. Off the end, maybe a little capper.
You know, they tell you when you're going to get the bare hand to kind of pin that ball in the ground, kind of like a fork with your hand. I'm not sure if he tried to let it maybe roll into his hand, but he never did get it cleanly. That's a helpless feeling, isn't it?
It is.
Not only did he not get it cleanly, then the ball was between his legs. Then you got to back up, reach for it, make a throw. Probably lucky he didn't throw it away. And Nolan Souza takes strike one. He lined to right to end the first with the bases loaded. Arkansas stranded 5 men in 2 innings, and they even lined into a double play.
You wonder if Arkansas might take a chance right here.
Souza with a big wave and a miss. 87, I think, has been the top velocity we've seen from Sorelli, so he's going to have to be quick to the plate. Maybe Pepe not the guy to kind of run off him, but you think the numbers would work out in your favor at some point, unless Sorelli really close, really quick. A bouncer towards DuPont. Looks to second, but has one easier play. Throws out Souza as Pepe hustled his way into scoring position with one gone. Probably a frustrating sequence there for Nolan.
Yeah. I think Souza is getting exposed on that inside right now, and just with that feeling of not being able to get to the inside part of that ball, he keeps hitting that ball to the ground of the pool side. And I know that double in left center yesterday probably was a great feeling for him.
Sometimes you kind of look at something like that double and you hope that it kind of alleviates a little bit of pressure, propels someone forward as Becker bats. But a couple of at-bats later, you're kind of swimming again, maybe.
Yes.
3-3 game in the third, and that one clipped Becker. He tried to get out of the way, raised his jersey. He's on base now for the second time.
It's tough with that back and forth when you have a couple good at-bats that you feel like you're kind of coming out of that slump a little bit. Because, most hitters are going to go through a slump at some point in the year. And for Suze, it's like, I've been grinding, I've been putting the work in, and then I get, some success in a game, and it builds that confidence up. And then instead of kind of staying outside of the plate to where you kind of had that success, I guess that inside pitch looks really good to him right now. And it
must.
Yeah. But I'm telling you, when he clicks it, he'll turn it around.
Justin Thomas Jr. lined into a double play, hit a rocket to third at 100 miles an hour, but it was caught by Haggard, who threw out Becker at first. A couple of weekends ago, I was talking with Michigan State longtime head coach Jake Boss Jr., and he had a phrase I think that resonated with me, and it's kind of speaks to the difficulty in this game. That one clipped Thomas Jr. Again, doesn't have to hurt to count. Back-to-back hit batters to load the bases. He said you're always just maybe a moment away from an 0 for 10. Doesn't matter how good you are, an 0 for 10 could always be looming around the horizon. Maybe you get it out of the way early. You hope an 0 for 10 doesn't turn into an 0 for 15 as you see Thomas hit by that pitch, and now the bases are loaded. Arkansas has loaded them up without a hit this inning. Beer hats providing some warmth as well. And Davalon takes an inside strike. Good pitch from Sorelli.
And one thing we used to say as hitters, or in the hitters meetings that we had, or the talks amongst the players in the clubhouse, is like, if you are in that inevitable 0 for 10 slump, it's how does that 0 for 10 slump look like? Does it look like you're still having quality at bats? Are you still preparing? Are you still making good contact, or staying in the zone? It's going to happen, but can you do it in a productive way? Oh,
that ball line foul towards the right field corner off the bat of Davalon. No, I think that makes sense. Are you getting yourself out? Are they getting you out? I mean, there's some different conversations within that 0 for 10. I think his conversation was, you might be feeling good. Doesn't mean you can't go through a skid. And you are going to go through some of those.
I had an old manager one time tell me to take it 10 at bats at a time. So if you want to try to hit 300, right? Most hitters are pretty happy with around that 300 mark. It's like you give yourself 10 at bats. If you take 10 at bats, as soon as you get those 3 hits and those 10 at bats, you start it over again. Start back at 1 and then go 10 again. If you go,
I like that.
If you go,
that ball's launched to right. Davalon sends one to the scoreboard. 4 will score on another grand slam today by the Razorbacks. Davalon hit the scoreboard. An absolute no-doubter. And the Razorbacks in one swing have taken a 4-run lead. The slams have been fun today for the Hogs. Eloy ended game 1 in the bottom of the 7th with a run rule. And Davalon, not exactly known for big-time juice, certainly showed one there. 107 off the bat, 416 feet. The first hit of the inning, scores 4.
That new toe tap for him seems to be paying off today. Well, he lifted a little bit on that one.
Vahiva Eloy takes strike 1 over the inside corner. (7-3) Arkansas in front. Davalon maybe had as good of a fall as anybody. Did have 10 home runs a year ago for Florida Gulf Coast. So he had 10 homers, 16 doubles, 13 stolen bases. There's some juice there. He went from really hitting well, though, in the fall to maybe just trying to find it just a bit. I mean, not in a skid in any sense of the word. I saw Nate Thompson tell him yesterday, boy, you're close. You're really close to kind of clicking. As Eloy hits a soft little flare to right where Garcia will make the catch. And while Davalon has had just a couple of hits in the 2 games, he's scored 6 runs and knocked in 4. So he's been productive in that leadoff spot.
Yes. Even if the hits aren't going for you and, the results aren't quite what you want, I mean, you're still a key part of the lineup. You're still getting on base. You're still allowing the guys behind you to knock you in. And he uses one thing I've noticed about Davidal is his awareness on the bases. He's quick to see where the ball is. He's checking outfielders. He's trying his best to get to that advance to that next base.
Iredale chops one foul outside of third base. Twice Brent has walked. Bats with the bases empty, 2 outs and 2 strikes, and that just missed. Nice pitch from Sorelli. Did not get the call. Cahillo Eloy waits on deck. So a pair of grand slams today for the Razorbacks. We're going to talk a little bit later in this game about all the big numbers and some grand slams that were in college baseball yesterday. And now the count 2-2 to Iredale. Maybe they're contagious just a bit. First inning for Sorelli, and his pitch is on the outside corner, strike 3. Iredale knew it. The inning ends. So Arkansas gets 4 runs on exactly 1 hit this inning, but my goodness, was it a fun one. 416 feet of Charles Davalon. hit the bricks to the right of the scoreboard. A no-doubter in Arkansas has a 7-3 lead. This is what Arkansas has done through 12 games this year compared to last. And DVH had a Swatters Club luncheon back on Monday. The one thing Logan, he said, is that doesn't even feel like his team is playing that good, to be honest, and said, I'm glad we're not hitting 400. He compared where they were to a year ago, and the number's probably a little bit lower in every category. The RBI is somewhat close, but he still believes that this is not a worry because, if anything, it means there's better things to come ahead.
Yes, and I think in that Swatters Club, I think he mentioned it to where it's like he still thinks they're able to go more north and not so much south.
Haggard flies one to right. Diggs will get underneath it and make the catch for the first out.
But one thing the players have even been saying that kind of, compliment what DVH is put out there is, they've kind of recognized that they need to get better at situational hitting. They've recognized that they need to kind of pull back and get the ball in play and, have that 1 through 9, like pass the baton type. And what you're seeing is, we were out here last week and you see them in BP. It's like most of their rounds are situational rounds. And I think that's going to pay off tremendously for them.
Garcia Jr. walked and scored back in the second. The one thing he pointed out about that Charlotte series, and those games were all close, so there's a couple of things that come into play. One, Arkansas was kind of learning to play one-run games. 11 games, their first 11, 5 of those were decided by a run. So you get a little bit of that feeling of having to have important at-bats late in games instead of trying to necessarily pad your numbers. But he also felt like maybe Charlotte shifted incorrectly. He felt like 8 out of the 10 times they had shifted incorrectly or didn't pitch well. There's a chopper to third. Iredale gloved that when it was almost behind him. And a couple of hops to first, not quite in time. That was a pretty good play by Iredale just to stab at it when the ball looked like it was already past him.
That was great hands right there by Iredale. And to stay on balance, to get a turnaround like that, that's not an easy throw.
See, from this angle, if it looks like that ball's by him when he snatches it, and then he two-hopped it to first, a slower runner, he might have had a chance. But to go back to that conversation as Billings steps in, and he had the long homer over the stands in left. It's another one in the air to left field, and Davilon, sunglasses on, shading his eyes, able to make the catch. And Billings, the Californian, retired. He felt like, though, that if Charlotte would shift against Arkansas, they still pitched away, which forced those hitters then to think about beating the shift, and the pitching kind of worked out in that way.
It's like they had the shift or the heat maps on the hitters, but they didn't match up the pitching. Yes.
And if you're a hitter and you're thinking situationally, as you discussed, and DuPont bats, if you're thinking, I need to take this ball the other way, if they pitch you in that regard, it kind of works into what maybe you're thinking or trying to do, which I think then you just want to see your team succeed.
Yeah, and I think that's a testament to Arkansas's offense. I mean, to see a shift, one already plays with a young hitter's mind and might even take them out of that approach to say, well, I guess they're going to throw inside.
DuPont with a chopper. Bybee couldn't get it with a bare hand. Iredale couldn't get it with a bare hand. Swinging bunt hit for DuPont, who's going to get his first of the year. Pair of infield hits this inning, although much different infield hits. Warhawks have 2 runners on base.
But I think to recognize that as an offense and say, hey, these games are close. We have to find a way to we're going to scratch some runs across right now. And for them to kind of buy into that and say, hey, I'm getting pitched away. Hey, well, I'm also getting pitched away. Well, he's getting pitched away. It's like, well, let's push our sights out and just take what they're giving us.
Zach White, the batter. White with a pop-up. Pepe starting to drift. Kind of an uncomfortable feeling. He makes the catch in the inning end. So Bybee gives up a couple of infield singles. Warhawks strand a pair. 7-3, Razorbacks lead. Arkansas is hoping to avoid some midweek madness. How about Florida getting run-ruled by UCF? Dallas Baptist not only run-ruled Oklahoma, took them down 11-0 in 7 innings. UTSA continues the frustrations for A&M. They were the unanimous number 1. They've now lost 5 of 6 games to unranked opponents. They made 5 errors. And Tennessee defeated Radford 22-9. Look, and they had 3 grand slams. They had 2 in 1 inning. They have had 7 grand slams in 12 games this season.
Wow.
That's a season's worth. And a good season's worth.
That's a good season's worth. Exactly right. I mean, to have that much offensive production this early, I mean, it's not that big of a surprise from Tennessee. They have been, the past couple years, one of the higher homer teams in the country. But, I mean, 3 grand slams, 7 already. And A&M, man, heavy's the head that wears the crown, I guess.
Yeah, you aren't kidding. Saw a lot of them this weekend. Daniel Gonzalez on the pitch, and we thought we would see some of the starters for ULM. He threw 6 innings and had 7 Ks against Houston Christian back on the 21st and made an opening day start against Eastern Illinois, so maybe an inning or 2. I guess in essence this is kind of like their side session.
Yeah, I think with Gonzalez coming in agreement with you, I think they're going to get, some guys in here that they want to see against these Arkansas hitters. And Gonzalez, I think he's going to be one of the higher velo guys that ULM pulls out. And I'm kind of interested because it says that he has, a little bit of ride to that fastball. He's kind of over the top. So I guess we'll see how these swings look on it.
We certainly will. And speaking of grand slams, Arkansas has had 2 today. Aloy in game 1 with a monster slam to left. Trackman wasn't working, either that or Aloy hit one too hard and too far to even register. He had an RBI single in the second at 102 miles an hour. And the start to his season, where he is now 19 for 33 with 22 runs batted in, conjures up memories of what Heston Kjerstad did in 2020 before the world shut down. Kjerstad had 6 homers and 20 RBIs in 16 games. Well, Aloy has more RBIs, and this is game 13. He's 1 home run away from matching what Heston did. Kjerstad had an OPS of about 1,400 during that stretch, and we saw Aloy's, it's closer to 1,900. And I didn't think anybody could have a better start to a season than Heston did in 2000. Soft contact here, ground ball to Lunsford, who is going to finally retire Aloy, and he's out to begin the bottom of the 4th inning. It really makes me wonder what would have happened for Arkansas. Could they have gone back to the World Series again? Would Kjerstad have hit 25, 30 home runs?
Right.
Personally, I think he would have. And that, to me, was the greatest loss of that season. But we'll see what Aloy does with more playing time, because he's going to keep getting his name in that lineup, I would imagine.
Yeah, with the start that he's had, he's going to see a lot of games. He's going to see a lot of at-bats. But with Kjerstad, with watching him play and kind of how he's developed.
Diggs launches one to right. Back towards the building, and it is gone. Kendall Diggs hits his first of the season. That must feel good. Arkansas with another long ball, and it's an 8-3 Razorback lead.
Always nice to get that first one out of the way, isn't it?
Kendall might have been fighting it just a bit. In our first game today, he was 0 for 3, hit by a pitch. Was 0 for 2 in this game before he got one up on that awning below the top of the roof. He knew it. What have you been seeing out of some of the swings from Diggs? Does he look like he's just a little bit off maybe before that one?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing with Kendall right now, it seems like timing. I think with, some of his mechanics might seem a little exaggerated.
Pepe with a chopper to third. Haggard the play, his throw to first in time for the second out.
His mechanics might be a little exaggerated right now just to kind of get that feel. Sometimes you kind of want to over-exaggerate it, but it hasn't seemed like if he is tinkering with something and, coming back from the shoulder and trying to figure out how that swing works after that. But I think the more at-bats he gets, I think that rhythm and flow will kind of come back into that swing and not be as herky-jerky.
No, it makes sense. Souza steps in 0 for 2. Really, in essence, I think that's what these midweek games are for Kendall. Maybe not quite the velocity, and he can try and find some of that timing before conference games. That's coming fast.
Absolutely. I mean, conference is going to be here in 2 weeks for these guys, if that, and to get a guy like Kendall going, because Arkansas has seen him when he is going well, and I mean to have another lefty bat like that with some power is going to be huge as a depth piece.
8-3 Razorbacks. If Souza could get a base hit here, it'd be his third in these 2 games, and he went a long stretch with 3 hits, so start to see some confidence rise. Took that slow breaking ball at the top of the zone for a called strike. 2-2. Gonzalez Fires one over the inside edge that Souza fought off. Gonzalez, another Californian on this team. 2-2 is down. Did he offer? I don't think so. Count's gone full. Here comes the payoff. He's had a couple of pitches in a similar spot on that inside edge that he's been able to kind of spoil. But you mentioned earlier he's seeing a lot of inside pitches.
Souza's one that I've started paying attention to pitch location, and they are hammering him inside.
Look where the catcher, White's setting up. He set up in, and that just missed badly on its location. I think they wanted to come in again.
I did too. I think that's kind of been an exposed spot for Souza at the start of this season, is he's not handling that ball in well. And I think that's just a feel thing for him. Until he really kind of clicks a couple inside there, it'll kind of clean up everything else on the plate for him.
It is nice, though, if you're not feeling great, you can still take your walks. And
yes, still having a quality at bat like that, that's what's going. Great jump, too.
Great jump indeed. He'll get the base. So for Nolan, his second stolen base of the season. I love 2-out stolen bases. He was at full speed before that ball came out of the hands of Gonzalez. Keep that finger on the base.
Stay on the base.
Arkansas lost a stolen base when their base runner went sliding by. And the way you score that is Becker bats here. Even if you reach the base before there's a tag and you slide by it and you come back, that's not a stolen base. It's one continuous play. And so even though you're there, when you give it up, you come back, it's still a caught stealing, unless you just turn and keep going to third. But Arkansas has had some situations again where they've kind of racked up some of those caught stealings. But I love the 2-out stolen bases. Becker tomahawks one to left, but Blazer was playing deep, and that ball caught him. And the inning ends. But Logan, how about the swing from Kendall Diggs?
That's got to feel good for Kendall Diggs. I mean, timing and rhythm, everything, catching the ball out front like that, and just getting through. That extension, I think, is what Kendall's needed to fill in.
Ball's flying today. Razorbacks hit a grand slam, got a home run from Diggs. 2 of the 3 runs from the Warhawks also scored on a home run from Jacob Billings. So Ben Bybee gets through his 4 innings. And Tate McGuire on to pitch, a sophomore who, Logan, just didn't throw a ton of innings last year. And I think is one of those freshmen that certainly could have, but Arkansas had some depth. He's thrown 3 1/3 innings this year. Went to the Cape. He was an all-star at Wareham. And pretty good strike thrower. I think it's kind of benefited him coming into this season where he's definitely going to get more opportunities.
Yeah, I think after going to the Cape and having success there, especially being named an all-star, when you come back into your school, I mean, the coaches are going to give you that opportunity. You proved yourself in a league like Cape Cod. Here's the ball, go get some innings.
And Blazer shoots one foul down the line and right. He's 0 for 2. He's talking about these Warhawks in the D1 baseball preview, and they talked about taking a sizable step forward. And I love when they go on to say that for starters, the Warhawks are ancient from a position lineup standpoint. Not a single player with less than really 3 years of experience like Blazer, like Walker and others. So that could indeed benefit this team, as these guys have not only played a lot of baseball, a lot of them have played together. Blazer lifting one in the air to right. The winds haven't moved the ball a lot today, but as I say that, Diggs has to come charging in. I don't know where Sousa and Pepe were going, but there was only one play, and that was from Kendall. Well, actually, it's Bowles.
Yeah.
So I tested this theory this weekend at the artist formerly known as Minute Maid. Every time we had a new player come in, we'd identify him. The very first ball was to him. So we got to the point in the 7th inning. I said, we got a new right fielder. Let's test my theory. Line drive, one hopper to him. And I said, my theory's undefeated.
I'll agree with you. I swear, you come into a game or you come into for an injured player, the ball finds you.
Immediately.
Every time.
I mean, you don't even get settled in and someone's hitting a line drive at you. You're sliding into a sidewall. Bulls made the play. Colby Lunsford singled and scored back in the 3rd. That's when ULM had a 3-2 lead. So Diggs got his bomb, and he exited. And again, some playing time for some Razorbacks here midweek. At 2 o'clock, we resume the game in the bottom of the 7th that was suspended yesterday. And a couple of batters in. Kahio Aloy hit a grand slam, and it was over. Good pitch for strike 3 to Lunsford.
McGuire's got a good feel for that slider right now. Nice little pattern on that outside corner.
Becker framed that one up. I don't think Lunsford was thrilled. This is Isaiah Walker, who singled in a run back in the 3rd inning. Really good fall for Walker. Came into this game batting .342. Sprays one foul down the line and right. Warhawks have been out hit 6-5, but they trail 8-3. It was that 4-run inning in which Arkansas had the grand slam from Davalon, the lone hit, that looms pretty large in this game right now. First inning of relief for McGuire, looking for a perfect frame. And the 2-2 tap foul. He's been leaning on that slider over and over.
He has. Yeah, I've started noticing it. It's depending on the speed, he can change his depth how he wants it. And I don't know if he's throwing more of a slider curveball for the depth and more of a cutter for the side to side.
Because it doesn't have a tremendous amount of break.
No, it doesn't.
3-2 the count. Fouled back. DVH in the fall said he has a really good slider and called him a strike thrower. Ability to get some sink as well. I don't think we've seen as much sink as we've seen the slider or that cutter. 3-2 pitch.
He's definitely filling up the zone.
At 84, just about every pitch has been at that same reading.
Yep. Fastball gets up to about 93, which is a good change of pace from that slider. Get him off of it, but he is all in the zone.
Becker keeps putting down the slider signal, whatever that is, the payoff pitch. There's the fastball. Hit out to right. Bowles had to come in to make the catch. So the ball found him not once but twice. He survived, and the inning ends. 8-3, Razorbacks lead. Not sure everybody recognizes just how good college baseball is in the state of Louisiana. Certainly there's a ton of fan support, and probably for good reason. Look at the all-time NCAA appearances. Obviously LSU, Tulane up there, the Raging Cajuns. But Logan, I just looked to the right column. Look how many teams from the state last year, including Grambling, were in the regionals.
That's where my eyes kind of went. I mean, it's not just these old schools and old teams. I mean, these are recent appearances. I mean, they're always, year after year, they're in it. You face a team from Louisiana, you got a battle on your hands.
Coach Deggs has a great mid-major program in Lafayette. We know about Coach Burrows in La Tech. Here's Brandon Brewer from Monroe. And I will add to it, and Brewer's an example, they have some good junior college baseball. And for example, Brewer is from LSU Eunice. They're constantly in the junior college postseason. As Thomas Jr. bats. .65 right-hander. Thomas has lined into a double play, but hit by a pitch and scored a run. It is kind of a different aspect with college baseball in the South. Whether it's Arkansas, Louisiana, you think of Mississippi as well. 3-0 pitch in there at the knees. But the way college baseball is supported in those states, pretty special.
It is special. And you can tell by how they travel. You can tell by when you do go to these home parks. They love it just as much as the fans here at Baum.
Troy and I called a post-COVID series at La Tech when they opened up their new stadium. It was incredible. They had kids out there, the apartments and the railroad tracks, as you see the numbers from Brewer. But I also did a regional at Lafayette, and that was intense from the fan support and the food and the tailgating. Davalon had a grand slam back in the third. He scored 3 runs, had a couple of hits. Having some fun today. Mentioned yesterday his parents are retired, so they came down from Canada, got a place here in Fayetteville, and they're probably on hand with short sleeves on. The Canadians probably soaking up today and thinking, what's the big deal? But glad to hear that they could be around and, really catch the entire season. You don't have to watch us on TV from Canada or figure out how to get SEC Network Plus to work there.
That's pretty cool. Be retired, come down, and just be able to watch your kid play the whole season.
That'll be you someday.
That'd be fun.
Tua to Avalon is down. I think even Gackle told us before the year his parents come out from California and get a place and spend several months here. Why not, I guess, if you can make it work remotely, whatever you need to do. 3-0 pitch is a called strike, 3-1. Just be a little bit closer, not miss any of these games if you can, and kind of soak up this experience of SEC baseball. I think Davalon wanted to hit anyhow. Count 3-1 from Brewer. Good numbers for Brewer. That pitch is down. The throw went through. It didn't matter. That was ball 4. So Davalon yesterday was on base 3 times, scored 3 runs. He's been on base 4 times in game 2. He's scored 3 runs and he's knocked in 4.
That's another way to keep your head above water when you're going through that slump, if you are, or that I don't have a great feel at the plate right now, is having that quality at bat, getting on base.
Vahiva Aloy doubled in a run in the second, lined out to left and right so far in the game. Two free base runners this inning. Good pitch at the bottom of the zone for a called strike to Aloy.
ULM, they've ran out a very similar type of pitcher the whole game. And one thing that I've seen from the scouting report is that they have a little bit of sink run to their fastball, but they're not really pitching in to the righties. It's more they want it to run to the bottom of the zone, not so much on the corners.
They've hit that bottom of the zone quite a bit. Brewer trying to pick up and out. Aloy fouls one away. Count holds at 1-2. Four different pitchers have now thrown for the Warhawks. Arkansas looking to add to its 5-run lead. Aloy will stroke one down the line in right. That ball is going to roll all the way to the fence. It's going to score Thomas Jr. Davalon will hold a third. Another RBI double for Vahiva Aloy. He's done that twice today. And it's 9-3 Razorbacks. And you're applauding. You like that AB.
No, I love that AB. You have no outs. You have a sinker ball pitcher trying to get you into a double play on the left side, and Vahiva just waits it out. He moves the ball out over the plate and just takes it where it needs to be hit. Great piece of hitting.
Like that analysis. And here comes Iredale, who's walked twice and struck out. Long homer in game 1. There's that pitch again at the bottom of the zone. Pitch is in. The one thing we mentioned yesterday, Lynn Weddle, their catcher, the transfer from Notre Dame, got rolled up on at home this weekend in Springfield and rolled an ankle, so he didn't catch yesterday or today. So you have catchers that have maybe not caught as much this year working with the pitchers, and White today is seeing several. It was Aranda yesterday. 3-1. Iredale swung through that pitch. Came up empty, and the count's gone full.
See Iredale's adjustment right here with 2 strikes. Runner on third.
It's a chopper to third. Haggard is going to fire across the diamond. Davalon went back to the bag. And that's the first out. RBI opportunity for Iredale that went by the boards.
You can tell he's a little frustrated with that at bat right there.
I don't blame him. Gabe Frazier's going to run for Vahiva. Tell you what, Vahiva not only played shortstop every game last year, I think he played every inning. That will not be the case today. So Frazier, who had some arm issues in the spring, may play some short. Kahio Aloy was retired his last time in. Off the end of the bat, he even shoots one down the line in right, and it'll land off the side fence. There was no pursuit whatsoever from Garcia Jr., and it was only fouled by about 10 feet.
Yeah. I didn't see him move, and then I picked up the ball, and I was like, that seems closer.
It seems a lot closer than maybe you would think for not going after it. Who wants a baseball? Anybody want to step forward?
Give it to a kid. There they are.
Got to find somebody. There we go. Well done.
Makes their day every time. He's probably got 5 of them.
He might today. Well placed on the outside corner for a called strike. That's really working effectively, but away from Kahio, who has 23 runs batted in. And this is 10th game. I like that ratio. Take a look at Cahillo's numbers. You throw in Spraglot, Orphan, Wagner, what they did OPS first 12 games. It's heady company. Is everybody okay? That one bounced up into the seats at the edge of that net. You don't have to start fast to have a great year, but when you have a great beginning, it sets you up for that possibility. 2-strike pitch is clubbed in the air, left center field, back to the wall. It's gonna go. What an amazing beginning to this season. Aloha, says Kahio Aloy. A grand slam to end game 1. How about a 3-run shot? He's driven in 4 runs in game 2, 10 RBIs against the Warhawks. He's making this look way too easy. Look at the smiles in the dugout.
Video game to him right now.
I didn't think he hit this high enough.
I didn't either, but then I looked at the speed off the bat, and I was like, all that has to do is just stay up just a little bit.
Exit angle, 17 degrees, 107 miles an hour, and quite frankly, it just disappeared. 10 RBIs between these 2 games.
He's probably going to keep asking you to talk about him like
that.
He
might. Normally it has the reverse effect. That's 27 RBIs. Hold on. It's 26 RBIs in 10 games? It can't possibly be that easy. But he's making it look that way. And this is Carson Bowles. Wanted to tell a story about Bowles, and I'm going to get back to that now. Carson got his first hit in that opening homestand, a former D2 player. And I said at the time, there's got to be some parents somewhere crying. And I talked to Carson the other day, and I said, as a parent of a D2 athlete, I know there's a little bit of anger and there's a big chip when you play at D2, when you think you have a chance to be a D1 athlete. And we talked a little bit about that, and he jumped back in the cage and he turned around and he said, you were right, there were some tears. And I got a feeling that mom and dad, kind of on this journey too, were here. And, to see your son get this chance on this stage and take advantage, it has to be emotional. As he takes ball 4.
I think you can relate a little bit to that. But, I mean, it has to be. I mean, I get emotional even when I see my kids having success in what they're doing and figuring things out in life at, 4 years old. But to see them work so hard and see them, have that chip on their shoulder, knowing that they want to get to a D1, especially like an SEC school, and to come in and have some success.
Well, for one, you don't know, with all the numbers you put up at D2, will there even be a chance? If you get a chance, will it be at a school like Arkansas? If it's at a school like Arkansas, can you get on the field? If you get on the field, can you succeed? There's so many things that have to fall into place. And for him to have some success and his limited playing time, really an inspiration. We got a pitching change break. We'll step aside. Arkansas leading 12-3. Kahio Aloy has become the Barry Bonds or the Aaron Judge of the early portion of this college baseball season. Wailuku, Hawaii native, all Big 12 freshman team performer a year ago at BYU after starting as a pitcher in the fall of his freshman campaign. Joined Arkansas in this season. Well, he leads this team in batting average, homers, and RBIs. The home run that he just hit was number 6, but 26 RBIs in 10 games. And by the way, with his 2 for 3, he's 20 for 35.
I mean, you might feel a little selfish if you want it, if you were to start a season that way to have those numbers. Jeez, Manelli.
Just a mild-mannered, quiet, friendly kid. And this is Gregoire on to pitch against Rocco Pepe, who's 0 for 2. Baton Rouge native Gregoire becomes the 5th pitcher used by ULM. Redshirt sophomore, also an LSU Eunice product. Pepe waves through it.
A little bit more velo on that one.
Would say 91, 92 on TrackMan. 12-2 Razorbacks on the bottom of the 5th. And Pepe fouls one straight back to the screen. Still only 1 out this inning. That thing never did break, never did drop. Long pause before the 2-2. Pepe hits one softly, back up the middle, could be 2, out at second, and the double play complete. Lunsford and DuPont to Artsberger. Logan, how about the beginning of the season for Kahio Aloy?
Oh my goodness, you couldn't write it up better for this kid. He's having a great time. You can tell he's excited with it, and to have your brother experience this with you, along with him being well, it's just, I'm sure he's over the moon right now.
Well, this past weekend, there was some baseball history here at Baumwalker. Parker Coyle threw the immaculate inning. You're seeing strike 3 to the 3 batters. Of course, that's 9 pitches, 9 strikes, 3 strikeouts. It is a rarity in baseball that might line up with the perfect games and the 4 homer games. Certainly, he was excited. DVH believes it's the first time that has happened in his 23 years. I don't know, Logan, have you ever seen an immaculate inning?
I have seen a couple, yes.
I like it.
I've seen a couple immaculate innings, but to have that in college, I don't think I've ever seen it happen in college.
Sometimes you're trying to miss on one of those 2-strike pitches.
Right. It's like I'm trying to expand the zone. I'm trying to, get them to get off balance a little bit more, but he said, nope, here it is. I'm coming at you. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Pretty fun as McGuire back to the mound for a second inning to face Artsberger. Back in the Kevin Kopps year, and we all remember that extremely well. That ball lifted to left. The wind will work it back into the gap, but it'll be playable for Davalon. And there's one out. Cops had an inning against Auburn, I believe, where he missed on the first pitch and then went 9 straight strikes. Now, that's not immaculate. That's pretty darn impressive, to say the least.
Oh, yeah.
When you run off 9 straight strikes at any point, but not immaculate because there was the one ball to start things. So Parker Coyle kind of put his name in Razorback lore with that performance, as Haggard fouls one back and out of play. The problem is we keep track of perfect games and no-hitters. Sometimes going back the last 5, 10, 20, 30 years, that's not been tracked.
Right. You're not keeping up with the immaculate innings. I would be curious to go back and look at that, though, see if that has happened in Arkansas's history.
Agreed. And, I feel like I've seen it a couple of times, too, but off the top of my head, I haven't. And I've seen a perfect game. I've seen 3 homer games, and, those you don't forget. As Haggard waves and misses. I had the 9th inning call of Matt Cain's perfect game in 2012. And again, I think at that time it was either the 21st or 22nd in baseball history.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those that had occurred were 70, 80 years ago when there wasn't even radio or anything else. Haggard's going to wave and miss. McGuire gets the catch. He's retired all 5 that he's faced. But the immaculate inning also pretty rare. And I think those fans on hand, I'll be curious to know, and we never will know, how many fans kind of recognized what was taking place.
Right.
Did they even realize it was 9 straight?
I think once they pick up, it's like, oh, man, that was a great inning, Then when you really look at it, it's like he only threw 9 pitches, and they were all strikes. I don't think the average fan picks up on what's happening in that short amount of time.
Because it happens fast, too, when there's 9 straight. Henry Garcia has been on base a couple of times. Little cue shot here. McGuire's going to scoop, has to throw around the runner. And that ends 2 perfect innings for McGuire. So that was fast and efficient. We head to the last of the 6th. Arkansas up by 9.
New projects means new project managers. You need to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/hire.
Honey?
But the gains are pumping.
Dad, is Mommy a finance bro?
She switched careers to make money for your weddings.
Ooh, the Asian market is blowing up. Hey, who wants shots, huh?
Shots?
Of milk.
The right money moves aren't as aggressive as you think.
You mastered your mind. And all the while, you were on the train home. Audible. There's more to imagine when you listen.
Well, we engineered a fast, reliable Xfinity internet.
Isn't that the best part about working here?
No, it's the uniform.
Fast break speeds and low lag for nonstop action. That's Wi-Fi built for streaming live sports.
Logan, I was in the College Classic in Houston this weekend. There were 106 balls hit over 100 miles an hour in 9 games.
Wow.
Top speed was 111. We've seen Nolan Souza steps to the plate have some wicked exit velocities, including 111 yesterday. But for me, I think part of the conversation in college baseball is the number of players hitting balls extremely hard with eye-popping exit velocities. You're having 106 in 9 games?
That is a ton. That is a lot of good contact. And I don't know if, back in when I was playing college, if we would have had these stats, I don't think we would have been close, to be honest with you.
I don't either, and I don't know. Listen, technology from bats gets a little bit better. The balls at times go through certain phases. These hitters are bigger and stronger than ever before. It makes me wonder if somebody's going to get hurt at some point when you're putting somebody in front of 115, 116.
I guess as a coach, you're just hoping that they are ready for a ball off the bat.
Went through that last year with Jack Caglione and others. And that breaking ball in there for a strike. But it feels like, to me, you're seeing some events, and especially when you're throwing Tennessee and A&M and other teams into that 9-game event at a big league ballpark where you have all the metrics available. But that is an insane amount. There was even a ball hit 111 that went as an error, and obviously, you hit a ball 111, it probably should be a hit. And my friend Jason from 6'4 Analytics helping out with some of that, a big Razorback fan who watches a lot of these games. The numbers to me, though, jumped out. And Souza pops one up back and out of play. But when I asked Matt Hobbs, who tracks this stuff extremely well, hey, how many balls do you think were over 100? He guessed almost spot on. I mean, he had an idea how many would be hit. And it shows you how these coaches, so different from 5, 10, 15 years ago, track these numbers.
I think a lot of the training is factored into this too. I think this generation of player is learning how to train and what to train earlier in their lives if they see that like baseball is kind of like their path and that's what they want to chase. And I feel like kids are stronger nowadays. They have a better idea of how the mechanics work with the body and like how to really generate power is being taught. I feel like older generations was more teach them how to hit first and then figure out power later. And now generations now, it's like
I think you're 100% correct. And the one thing I think the college ranks do now with these numbers is that they fully prepare these kids for when they get to pro ball. They speak the language of these analytics people. This is Zane Becker. You're not going to get to pro ball, and this stuff's not going to be new to you.
No, because this is exactly the same technology, same scouting, same game plans. Oh, we got a balk.
We have balks on back-to-back pitches the other day, but one here will move Souza in a scoring position. I guess that's a somewhat important run because if Arkansas takes a 10-run lead to the top of the 7th, they could have a run rule. Becker has lined to left, been hit by a pitch and singled.
But speaking of the analytics, I think they're tremendously useful for younger kids. But I think, like we were talking about that paralysis by analysis, if you look too much into it, if there's so much information that you're trying to correct or you're trying to, improve your swing by instead of just, how about we focus on an approach and take that into the game and then we'll work on the other stuff outside of that. But once these kids that are going to be or get a chance to get drafted, as soon as they get into the ranks in the minor leagues, nothing's going to be new to them, which I think is just going to benefit them tremendously.
I do too, and I think maybe the one thing that exit velocity does is it reaffirms when your approach and your mechanics are good, when you're getting the results. And listen, pro scouts are going to look at that too. They're going to look at the readings as much as they are, your stats. Hard contact is somewhat undefeated. 2-1 to Becker. Good over the top breaking ball for a called strike.
Yeah, when the kids start understanding, okay, I'm the ball's coming off the bat like I want it to. Now you turn towards trajectory of how the ball is played onto the field. And heads up.
Right behind the bat.
I think a lot of these kids kind of, they might get a little tempted where they hit a 105 mile an hour ground ball to shortstop. It's like, I really hit that ball well, but it's, did you really hit it well, or was it 105 into the ground? Yeah.
And that's the beauty of our game. There's always an explanation. There's always a conversation. There's strike 3 to Becker. That breaking ball from Gregoire has been good at times, so that's the first out of the inning. I don't feel like ULM has pitched that badly in some of these innings.
No.
But Arkansas is just kind of still find ways to pour it on.
Yeah, they've capitalized on with runners in scoring position. And they haven't missed. The balls are down the plate. I think, they've taken advantage of on the takes from, say, early in the count or mid-count breaking balls, and they see it. They have a good timing on it, and then ULM's backing it up or going back-to-back pitches. And when you do that to a good hitter, if they've seen it once and then you try to throw it again, more than likely they're going to have some damage on that pitch.
It happened yesterday. There was a certain spot that was pitched to where maybe it was taken for a strike or fouled off. They went back to that same spot again. Whack.
Yep.
Thomas Jr. has been on base a couple of times today. I mentioned the 9 walks he had entering play in this game. Well, he hasn't had a walk, but he's been hit by a pitch twice. So between walks and hit by pitches, that's been 12 free bases for Justin Thomas this season. And he's taking 3-0, forcing Gregoire to throw a strike, in which he does. The 3-1. There's that breaking ball again. Arkansas has been content to watch that land for called strikes.
He likes that breaking ball.
Would you throw it again here?
And probably. It looks like he feels very comfortable with that breaking ball.
The payoff.
Yep.
He did. Thomas Jr. had that walk like, am I walking right or am I walking to first? Am I going to the dugout? And he was waiting to see if he was rung up. I think that first step, and let's play this through, not only the pitch, but to see if he started to walk to the dugout or towards first. There's going to be a little
wait, are you
left turn. Oh, no.
He starts shaking his head right there. So I think the umpire gave him the call before he made the call. So that's a ball.
Well, that pitch was really close on TrackMan. We get another pitching change break. Got to take off the watch, hand it to another 12-3 Razorbacks. You think Arkansas has had some big innings in these last couple of games. How about 23 runs in the second inning for George Mason yesterday? 19 consecutive batters reached. They did so, Logan, without a triple or a home run. Obviously, walks and hit batters were prevalent. Wichita State, Penn State had the previous record. 23 runs in the second inning?
Golly. I mean, how long did that inning take?
Forever.
And is that, the record for the runs, yeah, but 19 consecutive runners.
That has to be a record.
Is that a record? That's got to be up there.
It's got to be. I would somebody's going to hit a ball at somebody or get rung up on a pitch that's close.
Kudos to the umpires for allowing that inning
and
to go.
Wearing that one. As Hollis Huff, a left-hander in, he becomes pitcher number 6 used by the Warhawks. Davidan has scored 4 runs in Game 2. He scored 7 runs today from the leadoff spot. Couple of walks, infield single, and oh yes, a grand slam in the third. Out in front of that one, sends it down the line and right and out of play. I think it was Saturday that Oregon had a 35-1 win against Columbia, and their previous record for most runs in a game was 23, and they had 35. They had a 9-run inning, an 8-run inning. Tennessee had the 2 grand slams in an inning yesterday. They have it 7 this year. So it gets back whether it's the exit velocity numbers or the offensive numbers. This has been, despite the weather, some big-time run-producing games and performances.
Big-time runs.
1 out this inning. Davidan might be the second. Popped up. And this will be caught. The infield fly was the call, but our second base umpire didn't call it, I don't believe, until the play was made. So that is out number 2.
Number 6, Gabe Frazier.
And this is Frazier. Remember, he came on for Vahiva Aloy to give him some playing time. Vahiva had 2 doubles, a couple of runs batted in. That's a nice day, Vahiva. Your brother, he did even more. But Frazier, 1 for 6. He had a bunt hit for his first college hit, also an RBI. What are the youngsters on this team? Front door breaking ball misses.
Stayed in there on that breaking ball. Nice
Sure did.
Too.
Orange Lutheran his program. There's a chopper hard hit to first. Fielded by Artsberger. Races back to the bag. Retires Frazier to win the inning. So the Razorbacks strand a couple of base runners. On we go to the 7th. 12-3 Arkansas.
Honey?
But the gains are pumping.
Dad, is Mommy a finance bro?
She switched careers to make money for your weddings.
Ooh, the Asian market is blowing up. Hey, who wants shots, huh?
Shots?
Of milk.
The right money moves aren't as aggressive as you think.
Your record label is taking off, but so is your sound engineer. You need to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our advanced matching helps find talented candidates so you can connect with them fast. Visit Indeed.com/hire.
A message from the Sonic Department of Research and Deliciousment.
The best part of the Sonic Strawberry Mangonada Slush con Tajín is probably the sweet strawberry. Oh, the tangy mango. el tajín. Okay, esto está difícil. Discover the strawberry mangonada slush and many more flavors in the Sonic app.
12 runs on 8 hits for the Razorbacks. Obviously, the walks have played in. The Warhawks have kind of pitched to a certain scouting report, and they've not been willing to bend. They've been trying to get these Arkansas hitters to chase their pitches or expand the zone. Billings had the 2-run homer in the second that gave ULM the lead. Arkansas the grand slam from Davalon and the 3-run homer by Kahio Aloy. And Arkansas did not get to that 13th run, so we go to the 7th, and this will be Will McIntyre. And Will has pitched in, this will be his 5th game in 5 2/3 innings. He's given up 3 runs. You see the walks and strikeouts. So a chance to get an inning of work, I would imagine, today. Tate McGuire, though, was pretty good through 2 innings.
McGuire was nice. He had location. I don't know how many balls he threw, but it seemed like that slider, he could throw that at any point, any count, and he was very comfortable with that pitch.
Now Will McIntyre on. 25 pitches, 18 strikes for McGuire in 2 perfect innings. Bybee went 4 innings, giving up 5 hits and 3 runs. Bybee threw 58. So this is Billings. He homered in the second. Now pitching from the sunshine into the shadows for strike 1. Billings from Rancho Cucamonga, California. Several Californians on this roster.
The Rancho Cucamonga Quakes.
Did you play there?
I played there.
Is that a Padres high A team at the time?
I think it was the, oh my gosh, if I can remember. It might have been the Angels high A. The Padres at the time was Lake Elsinore.
I bet the ball would fly pretty good in Rancho.
It did all right, yeah.
Dry, warm.
It
hot.
was.
McIntyre, the 3rd pitcher used by Arkansas, and is pitched down and out. The division I called games in for a number of years in the PCL had Tucson, Las Vegas, and Fresno, with Sacramento mixed in. New home of the Oakland A's, now the Sacramento A's. Three and 2 the count. Ball would fly in 3 of those 4 locations, and sometimes 4 of 4. Hitters liked it, pitchers not so much.
San Antonio not so much.
Oh boy.
I do remember that.
McIntyre's payoff, that should be a swing.
Oh, yeah.
Plate umpire Greg Hendricks says it is. McIntyre the K of Billings to begin the top of the 7th inning. Yep, that's a swing.
Still think you should ask.
I would agree. It doesn't cost anything to ask.
No.
I think sometimes the umpire says, listen, I don't need to. I've got a good look, but I understand your point. Cade DuPont had an infield base hit in the 4th, his first hit of the year. 8 at bats gives you a batting average. There's that cutter that's fouled away, but Pepe will track it down. That was a good angle, good route.
Was it Pepe over the other day at first who ran into the wall?
That was Kojal.
Oh, it was, yes.
It's hard to have a line out that's also a foul ball over near the stands, but that worked. And Zach White, who's 0 for 2, will bat. One thing McIntyre talked about this offseason, last year he was so cutter heavy, and his cutter had a kind of similar gyro movement to Kopp's, meaning more up and down rather than side to side.
Mm-hmm.
And he felt like hitters were just kind of sitting on it. Forced himself to throw the fastball more, which he did right there, which gets the hitters off that speed.
Yes. What's really difficult as a hitter is if he can actually like plane those out in the same release point. and kind of have that like X factor coming off of both of them.
Well, he went fastball back to cutter. Did he get a swing? There's an appeal. No swing, says Greg Stanzak. Good check. See what McIntyre throws here, 1-2. Through the cutter again. Gets away with a miss. Couple of Ks. Stretch time in game 2. Arkansas needs a run for the mercy rule. Arkansas's offense hasn't had a ton of hits today, Logan, but they've made them count.
They have. They have jumped on balls with runners in scoring position. They have taken their chances and advantage counts, and they haven't missed.
Kahio Aloy doesn't miss anything. That was a 3-run homer in the 5th inning, giving him 10 RBIs in these 2 games. Kendall Diggs had his first home run. We saw Davalon with the grand slam. 1 through 4 hitters have done their fair share of damage. And by the way, Kahio bats again, so keep in mind, Arkansas needs a run to win. Unless Iredale homers, Aloy would come to the plate, or he would have a chance with a home run to have back-to-back games in the same day with walk-off homers with the mercy rule.
You're putting it back out there, man.
I mean, I know I'm asking an awful lot. I'm just saying that would be what's on the table for Kahio.
But one thing I do want to say is that Arkansas is doing a really good job of putting balls into the big part of the field. And, yes, it is getting out today. But one thing that is kind of underlooked is they are having good at-bats. They're getting guys on base, and they're getting their walks. They're staying in the box on a hit by pitch. They've seen multiple times a day they've worked their way back into a count and gotten on base, which has resulted in either a couple runs or the big guys coming in and getting the homers.
That's right. And Robinette's going to hit here for Iredale. So Reese will pinch hit. 0 for 3 on the season. He's played some first late in games. Might see him at third as well. Shoots one foul down the line and left. And I think what you just said, though, Arkansas can look at the numbers, the runs and the hits, but aspects of their approach, things that they still want to keep working on regardless of the results, comes into play. And there's a ground ball softly served to DuPont. Throws out Robinette. So Aloy will bat, trying to add to his 10 RBI total even though there's nobody on base. 26 runs batted in, and this is 10th game. 20 for 35 on the season.
I'd say he's feeling pretty good at the plate right now.
He's had a grand slam today. He's had a 3-run homer today. He might see a lot of that going forward. First pitch breaking ball for strike 1. We thought he would play against left-handers because of the way he mashed them. He's seen playing time against everybody. Fans even oohing and awing on his foul balls right now. Got a pitch to hit there and fouled one back.
Backswing, I think, got the glove a little bit.
Ooh, knocked it right off the hand of White. You were talking about that swing getting along after contact and wrap that through. 0-2. Sent out to center, hit well at 100, but caught. Even triple digits in outs. May have hit that off the end of his bat. It was on the outside corner, so it was a pitcher's pitch.
If you're going as good as he is right now, I think you'll take that out right there.
Bulls came on for Diggs. Walked in his only plate appearance, which was the 5th. Bulls is 4 for 7 in his limited playing time. Again, a couple of doubles, a couple of runs batted in for the Tennessee native. Backdoor breaking ball misses up and out. Rocco Pepe's on deck. Rocco is one hit away from 200 in his career, so he might get another chance. Trying to get him to a big round number. He'll get a chance here. That is ball 4 to Bowles. Couple of free bases at his plate appearances. Pepe's played the whole game at first. He reached on an air and scored a run. He's 0 for 3. Arkansas has seen Pepe play first a little bit off and on. He's 4th among active hitters in the SEC with 199 hits, even though his previous playing time was not in this conference. He's also been hit by a pitch 55 times in his career, so that is the most of any SEC hitter. It's a big number.
That is a big number.
It's funny with McIntyre pitching. McIntyre is the active wins leader among all SEC pitchers, as somebody who's not started a lot of games. Bowles walked, and it's 3-0 to Pepe, and that's not close either. So, a couple of 2-out walks after the Cahillo-Aloy lineout. I'm going to bring up Nolan Souza in a left-on-left matchup. And Logan, we've talked a lot about Souza getting pitched in here with the left-hander, and I don't know if he's going to get to face the lefty. I was going to ask you what he might see from a left-hander, but he might not get to look at him.
Well, lefty was working a lot of arm side breaking balls, and then he wanted to go glove side on the fastball. I think he was more east and west, which probably would have been a good at bat for Souza to try to stay out over the plate and stay in that left center gap, build that confidence up a little bit more, groove that swing to that opposite field side. It'd be even better if he got a hit that way and scored that winning run.
New pitcher, pitching change break. Hawks need a run to end the game. Here's your Sun Belt preseason poll, and those top 4 teams all projected to be regional teams. Southern Miss, Troy took down Mississippi State in Starkville last week. The Cajuns, Coastal Carolina. You see Georgia Southern, James Madison, Old Dominion, and Texas State. Texas State took care of Texas A&M last week. So a lot of these Sun Belt teams picking up some wins in these midweek games.
Bringing some competition.
I would say so. Meanwhile, this is Duhan. He becomes the 7th pitcher to throw in this game. Going to come on to face Nolan Souza. The interesting part is there was a left-hander in the game. He had walked a couple of guys. They bring on a righty now for Souza.
Maybe his splits are better against lefties so far this year, but I feel like if your lefty was good, this is the kind of matchup you want him to see for later parts of the season.
We've seen pitchers, again, consistently work Souza in the same spot. He is really standing close to the plate. Those hands over the inside corner and that pitch down and in. The way they have pitched to a scouting report, do you expect anything less than to continue to work him in?
No, they're going to pound him in until he can prove he can either get his hands inside the ball or push that ball out over the plate.
Couple of 2-out base runners. And the pitch to Souza. Fouled back and out of play. Is that swing him trying to go to left?
That swing, the swings I've seen from Souza today, it seems very quick. And I don't know if that's a timing mechanism for him. It seems like he's a little tardy.
Lifted in the air, left center field. Walker continuing
That's
to
it.
run.
Good.
That ball's going to go. A game-ending home run from Nolan Souza. 420 feet to end it.
Stay to left center.
Cahillo-Aloy had the grand slam to end game 1 in run rule fashion. Nolan Souza hit one out, and Logan, that really wasn't close the way that cleared the fence.
No, that ball was touched. I think he slowed his or sped his bat up just enough, and Souza got extended out in front, and man, did that ball go.
First home run of the year for Nolan Souza, and that must feel good. So Arkansas played a lot of long ball today.
A lot of long ball. And not just a long ball, but I mean, on the swings they were trying to go at it, they were connecting, and kind of similar to what they've been doing in the past. And they're not over swinging. They're just trying to get to it and through it. Staying balanced, and they're getting rewarded right now.
Off the bat, I knew he hit it well. I thought Walker might have a play. Clearly, he did not. This one sailed well over the head of the fans out there on the hill. Nolan Souza enjoys that celebration. Hogs win it 15-3 in 7 innings. Logan, your final thoughts?
I think it was a good showing out by Arkansas. I think ULM battled for the first half or first part of that game and did what they could, but Arkansas just had a better offensive production, and the pitchers came in and did a great job. It was a 2-game set for the Razorbacks.
Arkansas will be back home this weekend. Portland in the building. For Logan and our entire crew, I'm Brett Dolan, thanking you for tuning in. Once again, our final score in 7 innings. Razorbacks take down ULM 15-3. Good afternoon, everyone.